Welcome to the best show airing on television. I am your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyombok.
And today we seek to answer the question, is poverty really a state of mind? And proposing this motion will be Eastleigh High, which is known for its diversity, having students from all walks of life.
Opposing the motion, we have Kenya High School, a school that is a center of academic excellence and young ladies who are well-rounded in their own words. So can they bring their diversity and variety to the debate?
Let's get straight into the action with the first proposer.
The motion this week is, poverty is a state of mind. Proposing the motion, Eastleigh Boys High School. Opposing the motion, Kenya High School.
Each contestant has 3 minutes to make their submissions. The audience also gets a chance to put their questions to each team. Each side will have an additional 1 minute to make a final statement. The judge's decision is final. But in a twist, the audience also gets to have their say through the popular vote. This will see an extra 5% added to the school that wins this vote. The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together, they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.
Proposer number 1, you may begin.
My name is Mohamed Mukhtar. I'm from Eastleigh High School. And ready to propose the motion that says poverty is a state of mind. What is poverty? Could it be measured by income? Or is it the lack of it? Or is it just a state of mind? Yes, indeed, poverty is a state of mind. I would like to say something about education being my first point. Somebody said that education is not a way to escape poverty, but it is a way of fighting it. If you have ever noticed, people who lack education are people who are full of stupidity, people who are full of selfishness, people who are full of foolishness, people who lack idea, people who have nothing in life. They are like that empty tin. And so when a tin is empty, then totally there's nothing that can fill that tin, and they will always be making noise. Now, education, like Nelson Mandela once said that education is wealth. When you have education and that is already wealth, then totally you cannot be in the part of poverty. So, a person who has education will tend to think through the obstacles and fight those obstacles that are out there. When you do not have education, it tends to think with your way of thinking, and hence you become poor. Somebody said that education is a miracle cure which opens all doors to a world in which all ideals will be attained. And that is definitely true. If we do have education, right here we are here in school because of education. We are not foolish enough. We tend to have ideas, and it is we people who have education are going to break this poverty line in our country. I want to give an example of William Ruto. He himself called himself a sufferer. The other day I was just listening to the news, his background. What he was saying, his story was told about that he came from a very background which actually it is only education that brought him to where he is at the moment. I want to go to my second point, environment. When you are born in an environment where people are very poor, like the ghetto, you tend to think the way a ghetto person thinks. You are born there, your destiny ends there. Whatever you do will always revolve around the poverty line of poverty. You can never focus ahead. You always think your destiny lies in that area. And that is exactly why theft and terrorism has always been increasing. It has always been on the increasing line. It is only because of poverty, and it is our minds, where we are born, where we come from. Whatever we think about, this mind is so great. It's a great organ whereby whatever that surrounds you has a great influence over you. My last point is about the great woman, Serikali Saidia. I think she's so much reliant to the government. You have to do something about your poverty. Thank you very much.
The first proposer, you may begin.
Hi, my name is Clarice Samba. The proposition just said that without education, you cannot fight poverty. I'd like to refute that because how many Kenyans have been educated but still languish in abject poverty? And before we even get to that, this lack of education, is it a circumstance that we can control? Oh yes, I may have been born in a poor background. I'm just but a child. Am I supposed to go scratching the streets to sponsor my education, or that is the responsibility of my parents? If my parent is not in a position to cater for that education, is it a circumstance I can control? And even if you do have that education, haven't you heard of touts who are university graduates? I feel it is quite basic to start by breaking down this particular motion the way I see it. Poverty is the inability of getting choices or opportunities, a violation of human dignity, the lack of the basic capacity to participate effectively in nation building. One's state of mind, on the other hand, is like the weather. It is unpredictable and is dictated by circumstances. As such, if this poverty were really a state of mind, no one would choose to sit back and go hungry, and no one would also choose to live in makeshifts that bear close semblance to homes. Rahul Gandhi, an Indian Congress vice president, in a public gathering somewhere in India, once said that poverty is all a state of mind. This undoubtedly gave rise to protests from the people of India, because these people actually knew that there's more to poverty than just but a state of mind. And these protests that were raised, mind you, almost spilled over to other nations that identify with that particular fault, or that particular disadvantage, rather, of poverty. I would say that this sure does point to the idea that there are factors which are certainly beyond an individual control in play. One of those factors whose aftermath affects all of us is poor economic planning on the government's part. Just Aristotle, a renowned Greek philosopher, once said that the mother of revolution and crime is poverty. Our Kenyans did not disappoint as regards this particular quote. Just the other day, the introduction of value-added tax on basic commodities such as the sanitary towels for our girls saw Kenyans go to the streets with placards bearing the message that they cannot meet this high cost of living as it is. But what will they do with the introduction of this value-added tax? Another incident that actually caught my attention was when a couple of frustrated Kenyans made their way to Parliament buildings with pigs. And these pigs, their presence there, they claimed, was purportedly symbolic of the greed of our leaders. I need not speak further on this particular situation because these pigs, their presence in that place spoke much more than words ever would on their own. Thank you.
The second proposer, you may give a rebuttal.
In front of His Rafael Konge Mtisia from Eastleigh High School, ready to propose this motion. First of all, I'd like to counterpart my opposer. The opposer was here. She said that in India, a man said that poverty is not a state of mind. I would like to oppose that. Rahul Gandhi, a vice president of India, said that poverty is a state of mind. And he told the Indians that they could change from that poverty. And we see now, after he had given them that advice, they changed. India now is a country where there are a lot of cottage industries. Now they are not poor, they are even above Kenya. It's because their mentality of being poor, they took it out. So, that is it. Another thing, inferior complexity. Some people, even some among us or outside, there are those people who, when you tell them to do something, they say, let Nani do, or someone else do that. It's because they don't believe in themselves. These people, they cannot sit down to make ideas. They just wait for others to make ideas. It's because these people, they believe they cannot. They have withered confidence, low self-esteem. They have changed their minds. They have turned their minds into a mood to be assisted. This is because they have not changed their mind and think ideas of developing. So they are poor, not because that they cannot have chances or time. It is because they don't want to sit down and change their minds to be independent. Another thing, religion. I want to tell all of you, I know you are all believers. In the Bible, Proverbs chapter 23 verse 7, it says, as a man thinketh, so he is. If you think you are poor, then you will be. And we all know that the Bible is written by God through inspired men. And if God said, as a man thinketh, so he is, who are you to oppose? It says that the Bible is written by God. And it is God who has said, as a man thinketh, so he is. If you think you are poor, you are putting yourself, I'm poor. Then poverty will come upon you. You are given time and chance, because the Bible says in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 2 verse 8, every man, whether blind or sees, he has been given by God time and chance. So you have the time and chance. It is you does not want to sit down and think and get out of poverty. If God has said that, you should all believe that poverty is a state of mind, and if you sit down and concentrate, you will remove it, my friends. Another thing, impaired priority. If you go to Kencom today, you will find there are men who they are in good suits, but those men are sitting down discussing politics. Raila, UAD, Uhuru stole votes. Those people, they don't want to sit down and start thinking of ideas. They have impaired prioritization. They are prioritizing things which are very not valuable. It's because they have set their minds that way. Not that they don't have chance, not that they are not employed. It's because they have put their minds, let's discuss this. You will find men grown up discussing food instead of discussing how to stop insecurity. It is because they have turned their minds that way. Cannot talk much. Thank you.
Second opposer, you may cross-examine your opponents.
Hello everyone, my name is Christine Rubera, and today we stand to oppose this motion that states poverty is a state of mind. Ladies and gentlemen, if we say that poverty is a state of mind, what we are saying is that poor people are to blame for their own predicament, that they have been lazy, and that they have made bad decisions. But that is not the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, honestly, if we look around, we find that these poor people are even the most hardworking people. They wake up really early to go to work. They trek for long distances just to earn 200 shillings a day. How can we stand up and say that these people are lazy and that they've put it in their mind that they are poor? Honestly, this is enough evidence to show you that these people are trying their best to get out of this predicament. Ladies and gentlemen, we have political upheavals. In the 2007-2008 post-election violence, we found that many people were displaced because of the mini-war that we had in Kenya. And these people were workers, they had farms, they had jobs, they had steady incomes. But what happened is that they were displaced. So as a result of this, these people became poor. And we saw that because we see that they lived in tents and they could not afford basic commodities. So ladies and gentlemen, can we stand up and say that the wars happened in their minds, and because of the war that happened in their minds, they are now poor? It doesn't even make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have the influence of the rich people. For example, the government of UK stopped the foreign aid going to Uganda because what was happening is that there was embezzlement of funds. So they would send the money because they knew definitely poverty is not a state of mind. They had to give a helping hand. So they would send this foreign aid to Uganda, and what would happen is that the rich people and the powerful people in the government would take all these funds and use it for their own benefit. In the end, the poor people would become poorer and the rich people would become richer. Ladies and gentlemen, if I have nothing, if I am a go-getter and I have nothing to go get, then is it really my fault that I am poor? Thank you.
Questions for the proposers?
Good morning. I'm Saida from Loreto Convent Valley Road. I just wanted to ask, you said that people who lack education are like poor, they have poverty. Now, what about, we know great people in our society currently who have left the education system, and actually they're the ones helping the society, they have become great people. So how do you explain that?
My name is Rebecca from Loreto Convent Valley Road, and the first proposer said that people who lack education lack ideas. Would you like to probably explain that further?
2 questions for the opposers.
My name is Cindy Wakio from Precious Blood. My question is to the opposers. You said that some of the poverty cases are due to war. I'd like to ask, are you aware that there are countries such as Israel that have been undergoing civil wars for the past 5 years, but they're still economically stable? So how do you explain that?
The third proposer, you may respond to the questions.
My name is Onyango Regan Owit from Eastleigh High School. I'd like to answer the question that was shot by one of you there, that education causes a state of mind of the government to implement education for the people. For example, we as students, the government has internalized that through education that we can get rich or somebody can get to be helped. This is because they've known that it's a state of mind. That's why people do stay in the poverty. So they have to bring education to remove foolishness in our minds so that we get learned and know how to incorporate factors of production to eradicate poverty. Judges, allow me propose the motion of today by stating the following points. Point number 1, over-reliance on developed countries. Fellow Kenyans, as we all know, Kenya is one of the third world countries. It depends much on the developed countries for donations and grants. Without these, we have nowhere to go. This is because we have in our minds that we cannot work anything out to bring ourselves what we need. So we have to depend on them. For example, we've seen the dwarfs. They are pressurizing the government. They are physically disabled. They are pressuring the government to exempt them from paying taxes and rents. Why so? Because they've decided in their minds, it's a mindset that they are poor. Who has told them they are poor? How many dwarfs have we seen, or people with disabilities that have attempted and succeeded in life? Because they have in mind that they are poor and they live in poverty. So this is stating clearly that poverty is a state of mind. Judges, my second point is a state of mind because people have the equal ability to think it out and provide for themselves helps. For example, God stated that every human being is equal. Why so? You have ability to think as others who have succeeded in life. Who are you to fail? Let's think it out. As opposed to the opposers, they stated that war can cause poverty. This is wrong because even the leader, for you to declare war, you have to put in your mind what are the effects of war first. It's a state of mind because it's going to cause you the losses. So it's a state of mind. You have to think for you to declare war if you are a leader of the country. Thank you.
The third opposer, you may respond to the questions.
My name is Esperancia Nasimiu Kapanga from the Kenya High School. I'd like to oppose the motion that states that poverty is a state of mind. First and foremost, I'd like to answer the question about war. None of the opposers said that war was declared by the leaders. The citizens themselves who felt that their rights had been violated during the election woke up and decided that today we're clearing the tribe that seems to be an enemy to ours. None of the leaders declared that. But my friends, tell me, war is an external factor. None of the people who were affected by the post-election violence in 2007, 2008 had control over the situation. So can we still say that the poverty they undergo today, probably because they were chased from their farms, probably because they were moved from wherever they were living, is because of their own fault? It's in their own mind? No, it's not. It was affected by an external factor which they did not have control over.
I'd also like to clear about Rahul Gandhi's statement that poverty is a state of mind. We did say that the whole of India was up in arms against that statement. It means that the people of India understood clearly that poverty is not a state of mind. Because when they were protesting against whatever Rahul Gandhi, the VP, said, they meant that there are other things that contribute to poverty rather than just having it in your mind. If I had the option, a woman wouldn't wake up and watch her daughter use a cardboard for a sanitary towel simply because she has decided that poverty is her portion. Would she? No, she wouldn't. She would definitely do something about it. But because it's not a state of mind, it is controlled by external factors, she can't do anything about it. So how do we stand and boldly say that poverty is a state of mind? Friends, I don't think that would be fair to the poor people who are suffering, not because of their own fault, but because of external factors. I'd like to point out that the first proposer spoke about education. He did say that education would help in eradication of poverty. But look at a situation where a child cannot access poverty. Is it their fault that they cannot access education? Is it their fault that their parents cannot afford to take them to school? It's a factor that is beyond their control. So if that is beyond their control, how do we say it is a state of mind that these people are poor? They cannot access that education. So I'd like to point out that the proposer actually did give us a point, that the fact that there is no education to help these people build their skills so that they can get themselves out of poverty does make them poor. Not because it's in their mind, but because there's no education and they cannot access it. It's a factor they cannot change. I'd also like to point out on corruption. The Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission was formed in our country. What exactly was it formed for? To fight corruption. I think we have heard of several stories about policemen accepting bribes. Probably some of us have even witnessed such. Can we say that these people, when they are accepting, that's just an example of corruption in our country? And there are other cases which if I start to list, may actually take us the whole day here. So if I am a hardworking person, if I want to come out of poverty, I work hard, I wake up early, I'm a faithful worker, but there's corruption in the country. Can you tell me that I can save myself from poverty? That I can change my state of mind and get myself out of poverty? Definitely not. So I stand here to say that poverty is not a state of mind. It's affected by many other external factors that people cannot control. It's not just in their mind. Thank you.
A proposer to take a minute and give us their final arguments.
Thank you, everybody. I would like to, first of all, to counteract what she said. Education, there are two types of education. There's informal education and formal education. It's not a must that you go to school and get learned. You can still go to some workshops there, like Sonko. Sonko did woodwork. Yeah? He was making coffins there and for burying dead people. Now he's rich. That is education still. It's not a must for you to get a book and a pen to be educated. That is the wrong definition of education. Another point. Some people have regulated their minds into witchcraft. Example, me, I'm a Kamba. In my land, people don't work. They believe Tumerogwa. They are bewitched. And that makes them poor. It's because they have regulated their minds in a way that they believe they are poor, and that is what they are, exactly, just because of witchcraft. Another thing is Japan. Japan is a very good example of a country which has overcome that state of mind of having poverty in their minds. They have established a very great and powerful university and course of psychologists in Yokohama. And they are now, Japan is a modern power. Yet in those days, in 1900, it was swimming in the sea of poverty. It has changed. Thank you very much.
A member of the opposition to give the final remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a lady of few words. Therefore, I shall give very few words to complete our case. If poverty were a state of mind, then going to bed hungry, children dying at a young age, mud huts, having roaches as pets, deaths, lack of medicine, and people dying due to diseases that can be cured like cholera would not be part of our reality. This was a poem that was written on the internet by a child barely 10 years old. So if a child who is hardly 10 years old can understand poverty to this extent, and probably has even first-hand experience of this poverty themselves, how then should we stand here and close our eyes and our ears to the plight of the disadvantaged in our country and dare to say insensitively that poverty is just a state of mind? Friends, I think that would not be fair. I rest my case.
All those who believe that Eastleigh High School managed to convince you with their argument, please raise your hand. All those who believe that Kenya High managed to convince you with their argument, please raise your hand. All right. Kenya High get the popular vote. Please give them a round of applause.
Poverty is a state of mind. It is all in the mind. Eastleigh, the first speaker was Mohammed. As a first speaker, a lot is demanded of you, or rather expected of you. One, do not greet people. Hi guys or good morning guys. Be formal. Two, what is a state of mind? Don't assume that we know. Somebody said, who is this person? If the source is anonymous, kindly inform us. William Ruto. He deserves respect as it befits his status. Don't just call him as if he's another person on the street. Think the way ghetto people think. How do they think? The great woman who said Sirkali's idea, I don't know about this lady and how great she is. That means that there's a lot of flaws in your argument. Raphael, you counter what your opponents say. Don't counterpart what they say. You have a problem with language, maybe you can read more and it will help you. You're passionate, but kindly be diplomatic. At some point, I thought you're preaching. Two, take note of the religious composition of your audience. If you say, God said, it is in the Bible, who are you not to believe? I can answer you. I am a Muslim. I'm a Hindu. I can't believe what the Bible says. So take note of the religious composition. Not that because it is the Bible, it is a gospel truth. It is a gospel truth to the Christians, but to non-Christians, it may not be a gospel truth. Try to keep your cool. You're passionate, but try to control it. Reagan, third world countries. No, that is derogatory. That's a colonial mentality. We're talking about a developing countries, not a third world country. Again, work on your language. If you can work on your language, you can make it. Kenya High. Clarice, again be formal. Not high, but stick to the formal greeting. Quotes, you gave some quotes, you cited the sources, which was good. There was a good flow of thought, but avoid the fillers again when you are moving from one thought to another, so that the train of thought is not interfered with. Rubera, content mastered, persuasive, good use of time. Kapanga, you're very impressive. When you appear on stage, you're really, really impressive. You're a good speaker, you're persuasive, you're good at critiquing what your colleagues say. Equally, you have good voice. Modulation of the voice, use of stress where relevant was good. It was a good teamwork. Maybe Eastleigh, you need to do something more than what you've done today.
A few pointers on what we were looking at and expectations in the motion, all-rounded definitions of wealth and poverty, mental predisposition to poverty, and the vicious cycle of poverty. Those are some of the things that we're expecting to hear from you. I want to point out a few remarks to individuals without repeating what my colleague has just said. And I'll start with Eastleigh. Mohammed, good mastery of language as a fast speaker, and I applaud your coherency of argument. However, you narrowed down poverty in your speaking as a state of mind just to education. In terms of people who are poor, is because they have not gotten an education. When you narrow down yourself to that, you weaken the team entirely, and now you give the opposing team or the proposing team a chance to now counterattack you in a very easy way. Raphael, you have passion and conviction, and you have confidence. You are not intimidated on the stage. And I think you connect well with the audience. I could hear them laugh to some of the jokes. However, I remember one time you said that I know you are not believers. I think we have believers in the podium here and even on stage, so don't make assumptions. They end up making your team weak. Onyango, you have confidence and you have presence on stage. However, don't make generalizations as well. when you say that Kenya depends on grants and without them we can't survive, someone will question that, because we have farmers who produce crops for us here. We have lots of industrialization that is going on in the country and many other places. So when you tell us that we cannot survive without grants, then there are questions that should be raised about that. Kenya High School, Samba, good definition of terms. However, you're time bad. I think you're a great speaker and you started the team well. Christine, your role is cross-examination. And if your team makes it, for example, to the next stages, just get to know that as a second speaker, your role is always to cross-examine. So when you come and start with points without cross-examination, there you get penalized. Your time is 3 minutes. When you utilize less time, 2 minutes or so, it tells us that probably you never did enough research. And so that one also gets your team penalized. However, you expressed your points well, and you're a good speaker. Kapanga, how you managed to come and be an all-rounder. You came and cross-examined the speaker. You're a great speaker. You had good mastery of language, and your coherency of argument was to the point. So congratulations to the winning team.
I'll start with Eastleigh boys. Mahmoud, you started off very casually, and for a moment the seriousness of the debate is lost by the salutation and your very fast statements. Remember that when you stand up there, you need to get our attention. You need to command our attention by how you speak and even the choice of words that you use. I need to correct something, that the lack of education does not mean that one is stupid. You talked about that and you said that when people do not have education, then they're stupid. That is not true. Regan, you have a good voice, but you need to work on the content of what you say. So you need to work on the mastery of language. But your voice is good, and that coherency was missing. So we want to see that as you speak. Kenya High School, I think a good team up there. Clarice, you're a very good speaker, but I think at some point you forgot some thoughts, and so you made reference to some notes. And even when you do that, don't lift it up so much so that we can tell that you're literally reading from some script. So it's important that you think about that as well. Christine, your mastery of language is very good. Good job. I liked your style of presentation, but you poorly utilized your time. You had close to a minute, which you should have made very good use of. But overall, good. Kapanga, I like the fact that you tell us and you tell the audience that poverty is caused by other factors other than a state of mind. I loved that, and that was really good. You made your point very clear. Your mastery of language is good. Your ability to convince and sway the audience to follow, or to take your position is good. And so you added a lot of weight and a lot of strength to your team. Good job.
The judges and the audience were unanimous. Eastleigh boys had 68%. Please give them a round of applause. Kenya High had 78% plus an extra percentage from you. That gave them 83, and therefore they are our winners for this debate.
To Eastleigh High, that was a very passionate debate. You moved us, and we congratulate you for reaching this far. To our winners, Kenya High, the real debates are just beginning. We look forward to seeing you in the next round. From us here at the Great Debaters Contest, it's till next time. I am your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Yombok. Thank you.
The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with a widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together, they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.